3 years ago, a jury took less than 3 hours to convict Alex Murdaugh of murdering his wife and son. This week, the South Carolina Supreme Court threw that conviction out. All 5 justices, unanimous. And the story of how that happened is stranger than anything the trial itself revealed. In this video, we're going through the full Murdaugh story from the beginning, because if you only followed the headlines, you missed half of it. The double murder, the decades of stolen money, the fake suicide, the housekeeper who died and whose settlement payout disappeared, and now the court clerk who may have cost the state its entire case. By the end of this, you'll understand why this case is far from over. To understand what happened, you have to understand who the Murdaughs were. For nearly a century, the Murdaugh family ran Hampton County, South Carolina. Not metaphorically, literally. Alex Murdaugh's great-grandfather became the county's chief prosecutor in 1920. His grandfather took over, then his father. The family held that office consecutively for 86 years. They also ran the most powerful personal injury law firm in the region, the kind of firm where your name on the letterhead meant something, where cases got settled, judges got called, and outcomes got shaped before anyone ever saw a courtroom. Alex Murdaugh was born into all of it. Educated, charming, well-connected. He joined the family firm, built a reputation as a trial lawyer, married Maggie, had 2 sons. From the outside, the family looked like South Carolina royalty. What nobody knew, not even the people closest to him, was that somewhere along the way, Alex Murdaugh had developed a severe addiction to opioid painkillers. And to feed that addiction, he had started stealing. Not small amounts. Over 2 decades, investigators would eventually determine he stole approximately $9.3 million from clients, from his own law firm, from the families of accident victims who trusted him to protect their settlements. By June 2021, that house of cards was about to collapse. On the evening of June 7, 2021, Alex Murdaugh called 911 from the family's sprawling hunting estate, known as Moselle. He told the dispatcher he'd come home to find his wife Maggie and his 22-year-old son Paul shot dead near the dog kennels on the property. Maggie had been shot multiple times with a rifle. Paul had been shot twice with a shotgun at close range. There were no eyewitnesses. No murder weapon was ever found. In his 911 call, Alex told police he had been visiting his mother, who had dementia, and returned home to find them. Investigators initially treated it as a home invasion or random attack, but something didn't add up. Paul Murdaugh had taken a video on his phone at the dog kennels that night, less than 5 minutes before the murders occurred, and when investigators analyzed that video, they heard something the defense would spend 2 years trying to explain away. Alex Murdaugh's voice, clearly, in the background. He had told police he wasn't there. Further forensic analysis revealed cell tower data placing Alex at the scene, car telemetry from his vehicle, and a raincoat found at his mother's house with gunshot residue on it. Prosecutors built their theory of motive around one fact. The week the murders occurred, a major civil hearing was scheduled in a boating accident case involving Paul Murdaugh. Paul had allegedly been drunk and driving a boat that crashed, killing 19-year-old Mallory Beach. That case could have financially ruined the family and publicly exposed Alex's wider crimes. Prosecutors argued Alex killed his wife and son to generate sympathy, delay the discovery of his financial crimes, and buy himself time. In March 2023, a jury agreed. They deliberated for less than 3 hours. The murder conviction was the headline, but the full scope of what Alex Murdaugh did goes much further, and it involves people who had nothing to do with the murders. In 2018, the Murdaugh family's longtime housekeeper, Gloria Satterfield, died after falling down the front steps at Moselle. Her death certificate listed the cause as natural. But after the murders put investigators on Alex's trail, Satterfield's sons began asking questions. What they found was stunning. Alex had actually encouraged the family to file a wrongful death lawsuit against him, so his insurance company would pay out. They agreed. A settlement of more than $4 million was reached. Satterfield's sons never saw a dollar of it. Alex had taken the entire settlement. The family didn't even know there had been a payout until they read about it in a newspaper. In total, Alex Murdaugh eventually pleaded guilty to 99 charges of financial crimes across state and federal court. He admitted to stealing from grieving families, injured accident victims, his own colleagues. He was sentenced to 40 years in federal prison for the financial crimes alone, on top of 2 life sentences for the murders. And then, earlier this year, he tried to get the murder convictions thrown out, and he won. Becky Hill was the Colleton County Clerk of Court during the Murdaugh murder trial. Her job was administrative, managing jury logistics, overseeing court paperwork. She had no role in the case itself. But according to jurors who came forward months after the verdict, Hill had been doing something she had absolutely no business doing. She had been talking to the jurors about the case, telling them to watch Alex's body language on the stand, telling them not to be fooled, telling them not to be thrown off. One juror reported that Hill specifically told them, before Alex testified, to watch him closely, essentially signaling to the jury that she believed he was guilty before they'd even heard his defense. But it got worse. After the trial, Hill wrote a book about it. She promoted it publicly. She allowed sealed, graphic crime scene photos to be accessed by outside parties. She was later charged with obstruction of justice and perjury. She pleaded guilty in December 2025 and received probation. This week, the South Carolina Supreme Court said enough. In a unanimous 5-0 ruling, the justices wrote that Hill had egregiously attacked Murdaugh's credibility, that she had placed her fingers on the scales of justice, and that her actions denied Murdaugh his constitutional right to a fair trial. The convictions were thrown out, a new trial was ordered, and as of this week, the death penalty is back on the table. Alex Murdaugh is still in prison. The financial crime sentences stand. He isn't going anywhere soon, regardless of what happens next. But the South Carolina Attorney General has said he plans to retry the murder case as soon as possible. And this time, the rules are different. The Supreme Court ruling also found that the original trial judge allowed too much evidence about Murdaugh's financial crimes. Evidence that may not be permitted in the new trial, which means the state will have to build its murder case on the physical evidence alone. The video with Alex's voice, the cell tower data, the gunshot residue, the timeline contradictions, no murder weapon, no eyewitnesses, no confession, and a new jury that will hear none of the financial crime testimony that helped convict him the first time. Whether Alex Murdaugh actually killed his wife and son, that question is about to be asked again, in a courtroom, in front of a new jury, for the second time. And this time, nobody knows how it ends. If you think Alex Murdaugh is guilty, or if you think he deserves the benefit of the doubt, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. This case is moving fast, and I'll be covering every development as it happens. Subscribe so you don't miss it. And if you want early access to cases before they go public, that link is in the description below.